Hi friends, welcome back to the Art Room with Mrs. Nolte. For today's project, we are going to be learning about Lorna Simpson. She's an American photographer and mixed media artist, and we're going to be creating a piece of art based on her series called Earth and Sky. We're also going to learn about line and how to use an angled line to create a crystal, and we're going to talk about value and using light and dark color to create form and a 3D effect. So join me in the art room and let's get started. Lorna Simpson, American photographer and multimedia artist. Lorna Simpson was born in 1960 in Brooklyn, New York. She was the first African American woman to have a solo exhibit at the Museum of Modern Art in New York in 1990. Her Earth and Sky collage series features vintage images of women from issues of Jet and Ebony magazines. Lorna Simpson's artwork often explores the idea of identity. In this particular series, she explores the idea of black women's hair, which has been a source of beauty and pride, but also historically a source of discrimination. Simpson replaces the hair with brilliant swatches of trailing colors and geometric crystal formations, transforming the original collage images into something new entirely. For our project today, we are going to be making crystal collages, the lesson based on the iconic Earth and Sky collages by American artist Lorna Simpson. We will look through magazines to find a face or profile for the collage and then learn how to create crystal formations using straight and angled lines. We will finish creating value in the crystals to make them appear 3D. For today's project, we're going to need a glue stick, scissors, a pencil, some white paper, a magazine or something that's printed that we can find a good size picture of a face, and some colored pencils or twistables. Sometimes a fashion magazine or an ad magazine that might come in the mail to sell clothing is a good thing to look through to find a picture of a face. So I'm going to go through mine. I like this one because her face is really colorful. So I'm going to take this ad and I'm going to pull this one out. And I'm going to trim around all of her, leaving just her face and her shoulders. You want to be careful when you're cutting not to remove any of her facial features and try to trim carefully. I'm moving the paper and not the scissors and just trimming right around her edge. Once you have your face cut out, we're going to trace it on the paper. So I'm going to hold my paper the portrait way, but you could actually turn your paper and hold it the wide way or landscape. That's completely up to you, depending on the face that you're using. You want to make sure you leave some space above the head to add the crystals. So I'm going to do a very light tracing around what I cut out so I have an outline of her profile. We will glue the face back onto our drawing after we've finished our crystals. We want to try to keep the face clean and not get paint or marker or crayon on it. Now we're going to draw the crystals. So from the traced hairline, we're going to use a pencil and we're going to draw two lines that go up and kind of go at an angle away from each other. Then we're going to connect those two lines with the top of a triangle. We're going to draw a couple of angled lines down from that tippy top of the triangle, and we're going to connect those from side to side. So we're going to start at the left and connect the lines, and then draw two lines coming down to the hairline. Okay, that sounds a little confusing, so let's try it again. Let's draw two lines coming up from the hairline that are going at an angle away from each other. Draw two more lines that make the top of a triangle. I'm going to draw two lines down from the triangle tip and connect them going across. Then I'm going to draw 2 more lines coming down. So now I have 2 crystals. I'm going to make a 3rd crystal, again starting out where the hairline is, that come out a little bit diagonally. Draw a triangle top, add a couple of lines from the peak of that triangle. This time I'm going to do 3. And then I'm going to connect the bottom of these lines, starting from the left and going across to the right of your crystal. Lastly, we're going to draw some lines coming down to the hairline. So I'm going to continue this all around the head. I'm just not going to do these crystals where if you have a profile picture, I'm not going to do it where the profile is, like where the nose and mouth are. I want to leave that kind of neat. So it's really supposed to just go along the hairline. Once you get 4 or 5 of these done, then we're going to add some to the back. So I'm going to make 2 diagonal lines coming out from the tops of the original crystals. Make a connecting line, and then a couple of lines coming down to where the hairline would be. Same thing here. Diagonal line, little top of a triangle, connect, bring some straight lines down. 1, 2. Between these 2 crystals, diagonal, connect with a triangle shape, connect those lines, and I think I'm going to add 1 more down here. 2 diagonal lines, connect, and bring it back to the hairline, and then we'll make 1 in between these. I don't want to keep too many open spaces between my crystals. There we go. Now I have them drawn in. And I'm just going to see how this looks with her head. Yeah, I like it. That looks good. So now we're going to talk about coloring the crystals in so that we can create some form. I'm going to use my colored pencils for this part of the project. If you have twistables, you can do that. I would not use markers or crayons. They're going to be a little bit too thick, and the markers will be hard to create form. So I'm going to pick 3 or 4 different colors. I'm going to go with a red, pink, and blue, and maybe a green. So we want to make these crystals look like they're 3-dimensional. And the best way to do that is to use value. And value in art is how something looks light or dark. So I can use the lightness and the darkness of a color to give my crystals the illusion of a form. So the best way for me to explain this is to show you. I'm going to start with the first crystal here, and I'm going to outline it with my red pencil. I'm going to start on the left side of the crystal, and I'm going to push down very, very hard so that I'm making a very dark red on the side of the crystal on these 2 sections. The next 2 sections in the middle, I'm going to go a little bit lighter with my pressure. So I'm not pushing down really hard, I'm pushing down kind of medium. This is going to give me a medium color in between. And then on the right, on this section, I'm going to go as light as I possibly can. This is value. I have a very dark value on the left, and then a medium value, and then a light value. This will help to create the illusion of form and 3-dimension. Each one of our crystals, we're going to do the same sequence. So I'm going to outline the crystal first with whatever color that crystal is going to be. And then on the left, I'm going to color the first crystal with a lot of pressure. It's going to be very dark. The middle section of the crystal is going to have medium pressure, and then the right side of the crystal is going to have very, very light pressure. This takes some practice, but this will make your illustrations have three dimension and the illusion of form. We're going to continue to color in our crystals, starting from the left with dark or a very dark value, in the middle a medium value, and then on the right a light value. And I also varied the colors that I'm using for each crystal. And if you need to, you can take your little cutout and take a look and see how it's looking as you're working. And we're going to just continue to color these in. All right, now we have our crystals just about finished. Now we get to add the cutout that we made to our illustration. So I'm going to take my little cutout, I'm going to line it up and see how that looks. Great, that looks terrific. I'm going to flip over the cutout and add a little bit of glue right around the edge. I'm going to use a glue stick, and I'm going to carefully go around and try not to rip it, because sometimes a glue stick will stick to these magazine pages. We're going to line it up again with the outline that we created with the pencil and make sure that it gets right up to that hair. Oop, that's a little low. Let's bring that up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to gently press it down with my fingers. And if you can see some of the pencil line, you can take your eraser and clean up the edge a little bit. I'm just making sure that's really down well. I'm going to erase some. If I have any pencil, I'm going to erase it, and then I have one little spot there that's still white. I'm going to color that in. Good. All right. I think we did a fabulous job with this. We learned a lot today. Today we learned about Lorna Simpson, photographer and mixed media artist, and we learned to create a collage based on her artwork from the Earth and Sky series. We also learned about line and how to use angled lines to create crystals. We also learned about value, so that we can use the lightness and darkness of a color to give an object the illusion of form so that it looks three-dimensional. We learned a lot in this project. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time in the art room. Bye, everyone.